The Dairy Queen in Scott Depot is still closed after a driver crashed into it back in May. But as 13 News reporter Andy Bernhardt shows us, the work to reopen it is well underway. A local bar is offering a new drink, but it's not your typical beverage. It's called the Pink Drink. It's another way to keep customers safe. 13 News reporter Rachel Pellegrino talked to the bar's owner today. Rachel, how does this work? He just worked the basketball tournament last week. In fact, he's been a huge part of Charleston high school and college basketball games for more than 20 years. Welcome back, everyone. Well, on this Monday, summer is officially over for students and teachers all across the region. We were in Kanawha County this morning as students went back to class. Welcome back. Continuing coverage of yesterday's deadly helicopter crash here in Logan County that killed 6 people. Now, that helicopter, that Huey helicopter based here at the Logan County Airport, I can tell you that investigators from the NTSB are at the crash site right now. It's on Highway 17, the Blair Mountain Highway in Logan County. But this building is so much more than a war memorial. Over the years, it's become an important cornerstone to the African-American community in Kimball and McDowell County. Good evening. I'm Rob Macko at Haddad Riverfront Park for tonight's edition of Live on the Levee. 13 News, a proud sponsor tonight. Spencer, it's the Rolling Stones tribute show. It's going to be a great time. There's going to be a house band and lots of musicians, both local and regional. They're going to be doing their own versions of Rolling Stones classics. We're going to have the hits, the B-sides, the deep cuts, all that good stuff.
If you get the paperwork in, maybe we can get you some nice Fridays for football.
You place the order, you can't always deliver on it.
I will say some of the best memories, though, can be in the rain. So,
That's right, yeah.
you know,
but
as long as you're prepared.
If it happens, I'll just say supply chain problem.
There you go. Thanks so much for watching 13 News at 6. The CBS Evening News is coming up next. It was a crash that had everyone talking in Putnam County and beyond. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rob Macko. Amanda and Marilee have the night off. The Dairy Queen in Scott Depot is still closed after a driver crashed into it back in May. But as 13 News reporter Andy Bernhardt shows us, the work to reopen it is well underway. Meanwhile, the suspect in that crash, Casey Oxley, remains in jail awaiting trial. A Barbersville man accused of taking hundreds of child porn images of a foreign exchange student. Daryl Wells was arrested yesterday. West Virginia State Police say in April, a 17-year-old girl says she found a hidden camera in the bathroom of her host family. Troopers seized several cameras and storage devices. Wells is charged with having more than 600 child porn images and 10 counts of invasion of privacy. He's in the Western Regional Jail on a $125,000 cash bond. Today marks 2 weeks since the devastating floods hit parts of eastern Kentucky. Many people are still cleaning up or picking up the pieces for what they'll do next. Governor Andy Beshear says eastern Kentucky is under another flood watch, which runs through 8 tomorrow night. He told Kentuckians to be careful over the next few days. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is the latest leader to visit the hard-hit areas in eastern Kentucky impacted by those floods. Bodie Brooks is in Knott County with more on the senator's visit. McConnell will continue touring the damage in Breathitt and Letcher counties. Well, the Floyd County Transportation Department says they will be checking school bus routes next Monday and Tuesday to determine if any routes have to be cut. The County Highway Department is working on roads there right now. They say the roads with the most concern are left Beaver Creek and right Beaver Creek. If those routes are cut, it will affect students at South Floyd Elementary, Duff Allen Elementary, May Valley Elementary, and Floyd Central High School. All right, Spencer, thanks. Hey, check out the smoke over Kanawha City this morning. No one was hurt in this fire, but it did shut down part of McCorkle Avenue. This was around 9:45 this morning. It shut down the road from 55th to 57th Streets. Dispatchers say the fire was in an abandoned store and say it'll have to be torn down probably. Investigators are now looking for what caused it. And we want to show you some pretty incredible video right now from the driver's side of a KRT bus. You can see this van will strike the side of the bus. This happened at around 6:30 this morning over at the I-64-77 split in Charleston. And we're going to show you what the bus looks like right now. Check that out. KRT Executive Director Sean Hill says there weren't any passengers on the bus and no other vehicles were involved. Now, the bus driver and the van driver were taken to the hospital, but they weren't seriously hurt. Hill says that even though the bus was destroyed, no routes were affected by this. We have all heard that phrase, don't let the bed bugs bite, but what happens when that becomes your reality? Well, for some Charleston Kanawha housing residents, the bed bugs are real. They say it's not the first time they've had problems like this. Residents from Carroll Terrace say that several apartments have already been sprayed for bed bugs, but the problem still hasn't gone away. And now they're asking management to find a more permanent solution before the problem gets worse. 13 News also talked with the Housing Authority's Chief Operations Officer today. He says they take cases of bed bugs very seriously. And as far as a solution, he says there's already a plan in place for when residents report a problem with bed bugs. He says if people have a problem, they should contact management directly. From there, residents will have to remove all of their belongings from the unit so that it can be inspected and treated. Well, the backpacks are bought, classrooms are set up, but one thing is missing from many West Virginia schools this year. 13 News reporter Sophia Pisano tells us about the state's teacher shortage, which is only getting worse. For years, advocates have argued that Medicare should be able to negotiate with drug companies to get lower drug prices. Well, the VA is already allowed to do that for veterans. Under the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 that was just passed by the U.S. Senate, Medicare would be given permission to negotiate. Out-of-pocket drug costs for seniors would be capped at $2,000 a year, and insulin for people on Medicare would be capped at $35 a month. There are other savings, too. The prescription drug legislation, it's not a done deal yet. While it passed the Senate, it still faces a close vote in the U.S. House, but that could come on Friday. If the House and Senate agree, President Biden promises to sign the bill. Former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate was raided by the FBI. The FBI says it was looking for classified records, but Republican lawmakers think there's more behind it. That's coming up next on 13 News. Former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate was searched by the FBI yesterday. Trump called it an unannounced raid. Now, the FBI's search and investigation, it's related to the potential mishandling of classified documents. Washington correspondent Alexandra Limon has the latest, including reaction from Capitol Hill. TSA officers at Yeager Airport found a loaded handgun yesterday in a Mingo County man's carry-on bag. They found the gun in the checkpoint X-ray machine. Officials say the gun was loaded with 5 bullets, and an additional magazine with 5 more bullets was also in the bag. Police were called and they took the gun. The man was cited on a weapons charge. Officials say it's the second gun confiscated at Yeager Airport this year. After 2 years of being virtual, the YWCA's Girls Night Out fundraiser returns in person once again. The theme this year is Everything That Sparkles. The annual event helps to raise money for the Resolve Family Abuse Program. It helps people like Ivy Evans. Now, she was pregnant and in an abusive relationship with the father of her unborn baby. After a fight with her abuser, she ended up in the emergency room with a concussion. A nurse and a social worker told her about the Resolve Family Abuse Program. She was able to go directly to the Hope House, which is a shelter operated by the YWCA, and they were able to help her reconnect with her family and do things like get an ID and a marriage certificate, things that were vital as she worked to get back on her feet. And from the Hope House, she moved into the YWCA's Alicia McCormick Transitional Homes, where she could live on her own with her kids while still receiving support. Girls Night Out is coming up this Saturday. It's at the Charleston Coliseum and Convention Center. Now, we've got a link to more information about how you can buy a ticket or make a donation. Just go to our website at WOWKTV.com. As we all know, back to school's just around the corner. We want to make sure students in our region have what they need to succeed this year. That's why we here at 13 News are on a mission to fill the bus. We'll be collecting everything from backpacks and pencils and paper and other things at several drop-off locations throughout the region with your help. And we've got a full list of those locations at WOWKTV.com. Kanawha County leaders breaking ground today on new pickleball courts at the Shawnee Sports Complex. 8 regulation-sized courts will be built. The County Commission is using $386,000 in American Rescue Plan money to pay for them. Shawnee plans to host regional tournaments that'll bring in hundreds of athletes. And the players say the rules for pickleball are pretty simple, so they say it's a great sport for anyone to take up. Don't know if you want to be playing pickleball tomorrow at all.
Yeah, probably not, unless you can play it. Don't know if that's in the rules because I don't play, but probably don't think you can hold an umbrella and swing the paddle at the same time. Things will shut down by midnight. We'll pick it back up again after about 11 in the morning tomorrow.
All right, Spencer, thanks. Thanks so much for watching 13 News at 7. Our next news is coming up tonight at 11 o'clock. Have a good evening. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rob Macko. We are in Huntington here. This is going to be Gregory Cooper's new house. He is a veteran, a well-deserving veteran. This is Nexstar's Founders Day of Caring. We are working with Habitat for Humanity. We've gotten a lot done so far. This is going to be the living room of his new house over here. This is the laundry room and bathroom. Over here, we're going to show you the dining room, the kitchen. There's my buddy Charlie there, 82 years young. There's my friend Amanda Barron back there. And then back there is the bedroom and walk-in closet. closet. We've been putting up all of this drywall today. We even put up some siding on the outside of the home, and we're just having a great time serving our communities. Again, it's the Nexstar Founders Day of Caring. We were also over at the Restore in Huntington. So a lot of Nexstar employees across the country are volunteering for their community today.
Welcome back. In the early to mid 20th century, the city of Charleston had a vibrant black neighborhood. It was called the Block.
Well, today most of the buildings are gone, but there's an effort underway to raise awareness of the Block's role in Charleston's history. Few today could tell you anything about Garnet High School, an all-black school in Charleston. But Don Epps can.
Yeah, there were lockers all around here.
He walked these hallways until graduation in 1955. Epps says he and his peers faced a lot of adversity being black in segregated Charleston.
I think because of the adversity that it made the school more tight-knit and it made it stronger.
Epps lived in St. Albans, 13 miles from the school, and traveled each day by bus. He says the bus picked up the black children around 6 a.m. before the white students, then took the black students home around 4:30 p.m. after the white kids had been taken home from their all-white schools.
Get up early, stay late. Yeah, that was the pattern.
Garnet High was in the Block, a dynamic part of Charleston's black community in the early to mid-1900s.
It was busy. It was bustling. There were people on the streets all the time.
The block ran from Washington Street East to Smith Street and Capitol Street to Broad Street, which is now Leon Sullivan Way. Blacks weren't allowed to go to white restaurants, stores, or hotels in the city, so they opened businesses for themselves. Epps played basketball and baseball for Garnet High and spent a lot of time in the Block, where he says he always felt welcome.
I knew that I could go in the restaurant, I could sit down, I could go in the movie, I could do this or that.
It was a very vibrant cultural center for African Americans.
Dr. Billy Joe Payton is a history professor at West Virginia State University. He says the Block's pride and joy was the upscale Ferguson Hotel.
The Ferguson Hotel had a lot of nice amenities. Also had a barbershop, a theater, a number of stores.
Louis Armstrong was among those to perform in the Block's various clubs.
And the names I've heard include Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Joe Louis, the boxer, Ella Fitzgerald.
Can I run to?
With all of those great performers coming through town, white people would go to clubs in the Block too, even if it was discouraged.
White folks knew that the Block was a place where you could have a lot of fun and listen to the best music that you could find anywhere.
Garnet closed in 1956 and became John Adams Middle School. 2 decades later, the original name was restored but modified. The Garnet Career Center offers programs for adult students in automotive technology, practical nursing, phlebotomy technician, and medical assisting. Principal Sue Sweat feels a great responsibility to protect the school's rich history.
We really take great pride in keeping everything clean and trying as much as we can to preserve the way that the building looked originally.
The Block's history ended when schools became integrated. The interstate was built through town and neighborhoods were redeveloped. Black residents were forced from their homes. They moved to other parts of the city. Some just left town entirely.
A lot of the residents, African American residents, I think were promised a lot of things that did not come to pass.
The Ferguson Hotel caught fire in the 1960s and was eventually torn down. These two hotels are located where the Ferguson once stood. Only a few of the original buildings in the Block are left, and they're on the National Register of Historic Places. But there are efforts underway to let people know about the Block, which was made a citywide historic district in 2011.
I think it's great to preserve at least the memory of the Block.
A sense of pride is to have your legacy to be known by somebody.
And Epps doesn't want people to forget what was once here.
They don't even know that there was a high school. They don't even know that there was a black high school, that there was a Garnet High School with a legacy and with renowned people who went to the school.
Don Epps says some of the Garnet graduates include journalist Tony Brown, heart surgeon John Norman, and civil rights leader Leon Sullivan.
The Block was part of the larger Triangle District. That's another important part of Charleston's black community at the time. Talk about hidden history.
I know, it was really fun researching that and going through all the old footage and talking to Mr. Epps and everyone else. It was just a lot of fun to put together.